Hi everyone, this is Girish, and in this video we are going to solve one sample CKAD exam question. Let's take a look at the question. This question or this kind of questions can be worth about 3% of your exam marks. So let's take a look. This question has two parts. Part 1 says create a single pod of image httpd :2.4 alpine 3.20 in namespace application. The namespace may not exist. I added this because exam may not tell you whether the namespace exists or not. It's your responsibility to check whether the namespace exists. If not, you have to create it. The pod should be named web server 1 and the container should be named web server 1-container. So you have to be very careful. You create the pod, give it an appropriate name as asked by the question, create the container, name the container as asked by the question, and it has to be created with the correct image in the specified namespace. The part 2 mentions create shell script and use the kubectl command to output the status of the pod you created. Okay, so let's take a look. So what I'm going to do, I have a local cluster which I created using kind utility, and we will run and solve this question at this cluster. So first of all, in the exam, you want to save time typing. So I want to create an alias called kubectl so that I can just say k get node instead of kubectl get node. And as you can see, I have a master node and 4 worker nodes. This will be very handy when I create some questions on CKA where you are doing actual administration of the cluster. All right, let's take a look at if we have the namespace application. We do not. So let's create one. Now there are two ways to create any artifacts in Kubernetes. One is imperative way, which is the command line. One is declarative way where you write the YAML file. What we will use, we will try to use a combination of both. We will use imperative way to quickly generate a YAML file, make necessary changes, and apply the YAML file. Because if you want to write YAML file from scratch, it will be time consuming. And the exam is only 2 hours and you have to solve about 70 to 20 questions. And believe me, there is not enough time. So let's do this. So we're going to create the namespace first. Okay, create namespace application. Let's quickly check. I got the namespace created. Now I want to create a single pod of this image. So let's copy this image name. Name of the pod is web server 1. Okay, so let's do this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create a pod, or rather create a YAML file for the pod using the imperative command. So what I'm going to say is k run web server 1, that's my pod name, using the image this. Now I'm going to pass a dry run flag because I don't want to create it just yet. I just want to do a dry run minus output minus o of YAML type, and I'm going to save this in a YAML file like this. So what we are doing, we are running kubectl run is used to create a pod, but what we are doing, we are passing everything that we need to, and using a dry run flag of client and outputting the YAML. Actually, I forgot one thing. So let's see. What I'm going to do is I am going to also say -n application, because as I said, if you don't create this pod in the correct namespace, you won't get credited for the question or the answer. Let's see what happens here. I'm going to open this vi pods or YAML. And as you can see, my name of the web server is web server 1, namespace is application, which is great. Containers has the correct image, and I think it is the name of the container. So yeah, container should be named web server 1-container. So what I'm going to do, escape insert dash container and escape :wq to save the file. Everything else looks good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply this file to create the pod. Okay, apply -f pods.yaml. So now check the status of the pod. k-n application get po. Our pod is created and it's running just fine, which is great. So that's the first part. We were able to successfully create a pod. Now we want to create a shell script that uses Kubectl to output the status of the pod. So let's see what the status of the pod. We can see the status is running, but how can we see or get it as in a shell script? So let's do this. If I just go to do describe PO web server 1, let's see what we see. We see all the metadata about the pod, and there is a status right here. So we can actually grab the line where we have the status, and let's see. Yeah, it's good, but I don't like it because it has status. Then we have to somehow remove the status to get only the running, remove all the blank spaces. There should be a better way. The better way would be to, let's do the get PO, and if we can get this in a JSON format. Let's see. Yes, so we can do this in a JSON format. I'm going to increase the font size a little bit so that you can see it clearly. And if you see it here, I got this pod's metadata in a JSON format. And somewhere, if you scroll down, there is a status section which has a phase, and which is what we are looking for. So from in the JSON document, I have a status, then the phase is running, which is what we are after. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clear the screen and let's do one thing. Since we can get it as JSON, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get it as a JSON path, and we will write some script or some regex to extract the information. So till here it's clear. I'm getting it as JSON. Now using applying JSON path expression, which is between two curly braces, between two double quotes, and then the curly braces. Now what are we looking for? From the current or the root document, we want to go to status. Let's see what we get here. If I just do this, I get everything that is part of the status. I need a status, and then I need the phase. So what I'm going to do, dot status dot phase, and I got this running. Let me just make some spaces, run it again, and as you can see, it gives me running. Great. So what we want to do, we want to capture this command in a shell script. So what I'm going to do, since you are depending on where you're running this command from, the aliases will help you, but it will not be set. So be careful when you're creating this shell script file, the alias will not be there. So you actually type the entire Kubectl in there. So what we're going to do, we're going to run this again one more time with Kubectl. This result is the same. Let's just quickly create a shell script file, and it says web server -1 status. Okay, so let's just name it web server 1 status.sh. Escape insert, and I'm going to copy paste here, and escape::wq. Now the file is created. Let's try to run it, but before we run it, we have to make it executable. So to make it executable, we'll use chmod +x web server 1 status. Once it's executable, I can run it like this, and you can see the answer or the output is running. All right, so we have created the pod in this namespace and the pod's container. Let's just double check the container name also, just in case. So if I go to, let's see, just do this web server. Actually, I go to describe web server, describe pod. All right, let's see. So if you see the container section, image, and my container should have a name somewhere. Let's do this. I'm going to just do a grep so that we can find it, and we'll say web server 1 container. Yeah, so somewhere here I have the web server 1 container, which is it doesn't harm to double check real quick, because these are easy questions where you can score good points. So we don't want to make silly mistakes and lose those 3% of the exam points. All right, so I think that's it for this video. We were able to successfully create the pod. We were able to create a script that checks the status of the pod, and we were able to run it successfully. Please like, share, and subscribe, because I'll be posting more Kubernetes exam questions, both for CKAD and CKA. My 3 years renewal is coming up, so I'm practicing. So I'm going to share some more videos very soon. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.